very quickly, if you look with your eyes wide open, you see that the Israelis and Palestinian publics on both sides in the latest public opinion polls have shrinking but still majorities on both sides that support the two-state solution. A little higher on the Israeli Jewish side than the Palestinian side, but you have now more than 50% on both sides that endorse the two-state solution. The one-state solution still has very limited support, according to Khalil Shikaki and 2 other polls done most recently and most authoritatively with scale of and how people were interviewed. And what we see happening in the good news also is we have the majority of Jewish settlers that are concentrated relatively close to the Green Line and are creates a potential way of imagining modest territorial swaps between Israelis and Palestinians that might solve 80% of the problems with Jewish settlers that most people presume too late to remove the Jewish settlers. The demography of Jewish settlement presence in the West Bank is widely perceived as having passed the point of no return. It will take too much money to buy them out is one argument, and it will be impossible for the IDF to engage in a forced evacuation. Look at how difficult it was to remove 7,800 Jewish settlers in Gaza as opposed to 300,000 from the West Bank. The good news here is the concentration again of those settlers, 80% are within, and there's some argument here, between 3 and 4.5% of the West Bank. A large overwhelming majority of those settlers are located. And the Palestinians, for land of similar quality, of similar amount, a swap and a territorial exchange is a principle both sides can live with. And the Arab League, another hidden element in spite of the Arab Spring, has met 7 times over the last 7 years, 3 during the Arab Spring, and restated their support for the Arab League Peace Initiative, which now is clarified. Therefore, a Palestinian state on the basis of the 67 wars with mutually agreed upon swaps that both sides would agree upon. So you have the Arab League that has supported the principle of a border that will not necessarily be the 67 borders. They will involve swaps that will allow a relatively small amount of Israeli annexation of the largest number of Jewish settlers in exchange for Palestinians being given offsets that are proportionate to land that they may agree to yield. These are good news potential bridges that diplomats and citizenry on all sides have to work with. The bad news, quite frankly, is that both Israelis and Palestinians in these same polls say the other side isn't willing to accept the two-state solution, not only intellectually and ideologically, but by their behavior that's identified as deal-wrecking behavior. 70% and more of Israelis do not believe Palestinians want a two-state solution. They believe that they want to salami tactics destroy the state of Israel piece at a time. A higher percentage of Palestinians believes Israel wants to annex all of Judea and Samaria, the biblical terms, and is woofing and lying and deceiving about its aspirations for a two-state solution. So we have this huge disconnect between majorities on both sides that are willing to accept the two-state solution but disbelieve the other. And more fascinating and tragically, if you talk to Palestinians' view of their view of the Palestinian public, they can't believe that 57% of the Palestinians supports a two-state solution. They think that's ridiculous. They think it's 20% that would support it. They don't believe the numbers of their own population are willing to make this compromise, and similar goes for Israeli Jews. The Jewish settlers are stunned to read the numbers that after all the, quote, horrible things Palestinians have done and peace opportunities they ostensibly have lost, that a majority still is for a two-state solution. These are very ominous signs and speak to the need for people-to-people contact, and each side's representing their claims and their pains in ways that create empathy and respect for each other.